Hey, it's Chris. Safety Dog here. Yes, we, excuse me. I'm looking for the mute button. Hopefully I did that right and that was muted. All right, Safety Dog's here. And we will start in just about a minute. The Secrets of Safety Dog, Mondays at 1 o'clock. Yes, I hope you had, hey, it was Father's Day. Father's Day yesterday. For all of you fathers out there, I hope you were treated real special and had some fun on your day. It's not quite as a spectacular day as we do Mother's Day, is it? Mother's Day, in case you didn't know, is the busiest, excuse me, is the busiest restaurant day in North America. Yes, in case you didn't know, Mother's Day is the busiest restaurant day in North America. Of course, here in Ontario, it's not quite the same because, of course, restaurants really weren't open. And it just, for Mother's Day, it was kind of, but hey, we are getting out of this thing. So welcome to Safety Dog. Every Monday, we go live at 1 o'clock. And let me know in the comments if you would like me to go live on YouTube instead of Facebook. I'm trying to decide whether I should be on Facebook or YouTube live and then post the other to the other. So anyways, right now we are on Facebook live every Mondays at 1 o'clock. Let me know in the comments below. And good day, somebody is watching, yay! If you let me know who you are, I'll give you a shout out. So this is Chris, a Safety Dog. What we do on Mondays at 1 o'clock is we talk about CVOR and stuff like that. Who did I have on the Doggone It Trucking podcast this week? We had John Farquhar. We did a live interview. Fridays at 10 a.m. I try to release new episodes. And this past Friday, John Farquhar of Summit Risk Solutions. Lewis, good day, Lewis. How are you? There's a little shout out to Lewis. I got to remember how to take that off now. And if, oh, there we go. I remembered. Thanks, Lewis. On Friday, we had John Farquhar, Summit Risk Solutions, and his observance as to what he has seen during COVID and how it has affected the trucking safety departments. It's a must listen. John's got some really good thoughts there. And then we get into ELDs a little bit. Speaking of ELDs, we are now past June the 12th. And of course, for all federally regulated carriers, ELDs have become the law. And I didn't check this morning. Normally on Mondays at 1 o'clock, I check. And let me just check on that now. Are there any approved ELDs yet? And if I go here, let me just check. I want to check on that for you. ELD, list of ELD approved trucking devices. And of course, there is not. Let me see if I can pull that up. There's the list of approved ELD devices for you. And as you can see, it's a pretty short list and nobody is here. And good day, we've got another watcher. Give me a shout or give me a comment and I will throw you on the screen. So what are we talking about today? Today I thought we would be talking about ratings in the CVOR. So if you already know about the ratings and everything for CVOR, hop off, tune out. All right, because we are going to be talking about the CVOR rating system. Whoops, And of course, that was the last slide, so we'll go back to that one again. Oh, and I screwed that up. Gotta love it when you do live. There, I think that should be right. And we'll make that big. There we go. So we are doing CVOR rating systems. If you already, hey, Sud, good to see you too as well, Sud. Thank you very much. For those of you who don't know, Sud is a young gentleman compared to Lewis and I. And it's good to see Sud here. But Sud is one of the up and coming of the trucking industry, I would like to say. So good to see Sud tuning in. And we are just quickly talking about CVOR rating system. So the rating system, basically, I don't want to get too deep into this today, but there is a rating system and it starts with excellent. If you can possibly get an excellent rating, there are a few criteria for an excellent rating. First of all, you have to have had your CVOR for at least 24 months, and your overall violation rate, your OVR, cannot be greater than 15%, or it has to be 15% or less. So in business for 24 months, 15% or less. Your collision rating of that, you hopefully know that there are 3 components of your overall violation rate: collisions, convictions, and inspections. And the collision component can't be more than 10%, or 10% or less, if you want to say it that way. And you have to have passed an audit. That's probably the most difficult part of this whole thing, is you must have passed an audit and scored excellent, which is 80% or more. So you have to have scored excellent. So those are all the components of getting an excellent rating. In business for 24 months, your overall violation rate is 15% or less, and your collision piece of that is 10% or less, and you scored an excellent on your audit. So you have to have been audited. Satisfactory rating. Satisfactory is a little bit easier to get in that you have to have been in business for just 6 months, and your overall violation rate is 70% or less, and you've passed an audit. So again, so for excellent and satisfactory, you had to have passed an audit on both of those. To get satisfactory unaudited, it's much easier. There's no audit. You just got to be less than 70%. So what happens when you go over 70%? You guessed it. You get conditional. So when your overall violation rate is greater than 70%, you become a conditionally rated carrier. And you are going to see some more interactions with MTO. So at 35%, you probably know that you get a warning letter. That's the first intervention. At 50%, you go onto the list of you might get audited. At 70%, your rating changes to conditional. At 80%, you get invited for a meeting in St. Catharines at MTO's head office. You get invited for a meeting down there. And we'll save if you go over 100% for the next one. All right, so that's conditional. And then, or by the way, if you failed an audit, you also become conditional. It doesn't matter what your overall violation rate is if you failed an audit. And currently, the only way to kind of unfail an audit is to pass an audit. So if you go conditional because you failed an audit, you have to be re-audited. Now, that's changing. The MTO has a pilot project out, and they are looking at a couple of different ways to change that if the audit has been more than 36 months ago. And there's a bunch of criteria. So they've got a pilot out. They're looking at changing that, but currently, and when I say pilot, if you ask for an MTO audit, for a voluntary audit to get your rating changed, you might be selected for the pilot. That's the point that they're at. They're actually testing a pilot system out, and it's quite good, and it's fair to both MTO and the carrier, because as you can imagine, MTO doesn't want to be sending out auditors to carriers that are operating very well just because they failed an audit more than 36 months ago. So it's a waste of our resources, of MTO's resources. When I say our resources, ours as taxpayers. So because obviously we fund the MTO. So it's a waste of resources to go out and audit good carriers just because they're conditional and they failed an audit a long time ago and they corrected the shortcomings found during that audit. And now they're, a pretty good operating carrier. Well, why should we be auditing them? So that's what happens. So that's conditional. There is one more rating that you've got to wait for. For conditional, if you come off a suspension or a plate seizure, which has to do with our next rating. So if you come off of a conditional or off of a plate seizure or a suspension of your operating authority, you will also be called conditional. This is also interesting. If you are related to or affiliated with another carrier that has a CVOR, and their CVOR is greater than 70%, which means they're conditionally rated, you also will be conditionally rated. What does this mean? Well, often directors on an incorporation document, they may have money invested in several trucking companies. Well, if they're on the incorporation documents and one of their investments is conditionally rated, well, they're all should be conditionally rated if MTO can figure that out. So just that's what that means. Or if you own more than one CVOR, they should all be rated the same, conditional. Not all the same if it's better than conditional, but conditional. So that's conditional. You got to be in business for a minimum of 6 months to get that rating. Unsatisfactory. Oh my God, how you might stay in business, I don't understand if you're unsatisfactory. That's when your overall violation rate is greater than 100%. You are going to be not invited now. You are going to be demanded to appear in St. Catharines for what is called a show cause hearing, in which you must show cause why MTO shouldn't take further actions, such as plates or suspensions. So seizure of plates or suspending your operating authority. That's what happens when you get over 100%. So if you did go over 100% and they took any of those actions, you are rated unsatisfactory. And then after the action has ended, you will be rated conditional for at least 6 months. So that's what I wanted to point out here on this slide. There. You will be rated conditional for at least 6 months. When you trip it, you're going to be there for 6 months. So you can't ask for a re-audit. If you go conditional because you went over 70%, you're going to remain conditional for 6 months, even though you get your score below 60%. That's where it's got to go. So that's it. Satisfactory, unsatisfactory. No, don't worry about the interprovincial carriers. That was, we were talking last week. That's a slide from last week. I screwed up. And Ontario has announced that, of course, intraprovincial carriers will need an ELD system on June the 12th of 22. So here's a neat little chart for you to look at related to your audit scores and percentage of thresholds and all of that stuff. That is it for CVOR ratings in Ontario. That's it for Safety Dawg this week. We talked about ratings. If you have a conditional CVOR, please reach out to a safety professional. If you don't have the expertise in-house, make the corrections needed and then get an audit done. There are many safety professionals like myself that are available to help you correct your deficiencies and get ready for that MTO audit. So reach out to somebody and get some help. All right, that's it for Safety Dawg. That's it for this week. Safety Dawg's out.